What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Over the last couple of weeks now, a bunch of different Switch 2 games have started to appear online without actually being announced, and we even had one leak out yesterday through a ratings board, and I figured we go over all that, a big roundup of these different games, because it does feel like, and people are asking, hold on, is there a Nintendo event coming up here soon? Also, we do have to go back to that story with Rockstar Take-Two and those hackers, because it seems like this situation is actually backfired on the hacking group based on, well, what they wanted to happen here with the company. And we also have to take another look at Microsoft with apparently exclusivity, because they're having serious discussions reportedly internal as to if games should actually go back to being exclusive to their console. All that and more. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. Guys, we're every weekday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, going over the world of gaming news, trying to keep you up to date. So just know, even if you don't get a notification in the morning, there's probably a video here for you to check out. And we're gonna start today with a couple of games with their reviews going live, with Mouse PI being the first one, and we can see this over on Metacritic, currently sitting at an 81. Now, the PC did get the most reviews, with the PS5 following up with 9 reviews. That was a 75, but still an 81 on PC with 47 reviews in now. And the thing I like, so I've been playing this game now for a couple of hours. I did get a code sent over, and I wanted to get some time with it before Pragmata hit, and then before Replace. So it's there's a lot to play right now. But Mouse PI for hire in the first few hours, it's interesting. It is, as kind of you'd look at it, a more simplistic sort of shooter, right? But the art style is just so compelling. It's that black and white old style cartoon setup, with 3D environments, but with 2D characters that run around, different enemies, and the animations are so interesting. But at this time, from what I've seen, it is a pretty basic or standard shooter that has some interesting voice acting and sort of the environments and the narrative-driven nature to it. So I'm still playing it, but at least for now, it looks like people are enjoying it, coming in with an 81 on reviews. And then the other game we can take a look at is Replaced. Now, this we can see is out now on Xbox and PC, and it's currently coming in with a review score of 79 on Metacritic. Now, it's only on 20 reviews on PC, so it's still kind of early going for this game. And this is one that's been delayed a couple of times now. I think the visual style is very, very striking. Sort of has the character in general is very pixelated, and the environments also kind of has that pixel style, but not as much as the character. So there's this kind of striking contrast between the enemies and the character on screen, and environments that look awesome, I will say that. In motion, I do notice they have this effect with different environment details that are very close to the camera, almost like when it loads to the next screen, they have like a wall or something kind of cut in front of the camera for a second there to load in. But so far, the game has been kind of interesting. It's just, it's a little slower to get going here in the early part of it, but it coming in at a 79, I'll admit, I thought it'd be a little higher than that, just based on a lot of the hype and interest that it seemed to draw every time it popped up. But again, early, I'd say for me at this time, about an hour or so in, I went ahead and downloaded it on the Xbox, so I'll have more time to play. Again, a lot of stuff is hitting right now. Mouse PI, Replaced, and Pragmata all in the same week. And if I was interested in Tomodachi Life, then I'd be in trouble, because it would be like no lifing completely, just try to keep up right now. Oh, and speaking of Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream, that's out this week, we got a bunch of information from interviews that were happening with directors and some of the developers on the game, but one in particular stuck out because it gives an idea as to how long the game was in development. Now, we can see this is over on Nintendo Everything, quoting this piece here from the director on the game, saying, "I believe development started around 2017 after things had settled down on Miitomo." And what's so funny about this is they really talk quite a bit about how they were playing Tomodachi Life on the 3DS, and they just ran out of stuff to do. Like, they played it for years and years and years, and there weren't any other wacky or weird situations, I guess, to put their Miis in. So they went, hey, we should just make another one of these. And yeah, Nintendo, I guess, was, hey, okay, we'll greenlight it and off you go. And they worked on this thing for almost a decade now. But it sounds like they put a lot into this. Inside jokes, apparently, that only the development team will get. But, I mean, let's face it, it's kind of a silly game that people just kind of get a chuckle out of when they have their Miis do some very strange things, and certainly say some very strange things. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with a bunch of Switch 2 games that have appeared online. Some more like confirmation that, hey, they could be coming up here pretty soon. others that we hadn't really heard of, and now they've just kind of leaked out through different ratings boards. And we'll start with the big one that happened yesterday. You can see Diablo 4. Now, I guess it shouldn't be too surprising necessarily, because Diablo 3 on the Switch, to my understanding, actually sold fairly well. So yeah, I don't see why Blizzard wouldn't look at the Switch 2 and be like, hey, let's get Diablo 4 there. Sure, Diablo 4 is a more demanding game, so maybe they look at the Switch 1 and go, it's not necessarily working as well there, but hey, the Switch 2, we can make that happen. Well, as we can see over on Nintendo Life, this did appear on an Indonesian rating board, and now at this time, it's like, okay, there's the Switch that's listed, and it seems like the way that they list these things on for the Indonesia rating board is they list just sort of the overall brand, all right? So it's like, oh, there's the Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, right? They don't say, oh, here's the Switch 2 or the Xbox Series X or S or whatever. It's just like, here's the Switch. All right, so now we're thinking, all right, we have this Diablo 4 release coming up at some point. But then if you go back over the last week or two, Devil May Cry 5, which has been noticed on a ratings board, Guardians of the Galaxy, would not expect that. I felt like that game was just completely left behind at this point, but I don't know, I guess they're just, whoever's going to port it over and see if they can get some money off of that game. Hell Is Us, and that's still a game, by the way, that I keep looking at. I wouldn't mind trying it, but that has, to me, is a game that I'm waiting to see it drop to like $20. All right, now I'm keeping an eye out for it. I've seen it hit like 30. I'm thinking that's a nice $20 special at some point, maybe towards the end of this year again, after it goes on sale for Black Friday or Cyber Monday. That's when I think I'll move on it, pick it up maybe on like the PS5 or something there. And then Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave and Splatoon Raiders also appear to have gotten new ratings. All right. So what's this adding up to? Well, people are going, wow, that's 6 different ratings and games that have popped up for the Switch 2. Is there some kind of event happening? Because I will admit, I'm looking up and down this list and I'm like, man, that's a good chunk of a direct maybe. And maybe even a partner showcase, although I just mentioned, oh, there's Fire Emblem and there's Splatoon Raiders. But the other 4 games, yeah, that would make up a pretty nice little couple headlines there for a partner showcase. And those just kind of pop up out of nowhere, right? Like sometimes Nintendo in the past has even just released it. They haven't even announced it ahead of time. It's, hey, here's a 20-minute video with a bunch of games coming to the Switch 2, and they just drop it right then and there without prior warning. So that's possible. Here's the thing though. We've also seen ratings pop up and then the game doesn't appear until later on that year or something. So it sounds weird, but I do kind of think we're still on track for that June Direct, as Nate has alluded to. And maybe that's something that happens in the first week of June, and really we're 7 weeks away from that. So if that's the case, sure, I could see many of these different games popping up there. But also, third-party companies now just kind of announced it on social media. And there's, hey, Diablo 4 is going to the Switch too. Or maybe Microsoft wants to make that announcement in their own show at some point. So otherwise, I mean, we look at Nintendo's lineup now. We should see Star Fox get announced here, according to rumors and reports, in the next couple of weeks. I think that's going to be slated for June. And then you look to things like Fire Emblem and Splatoon Raiders, I think, to kind of round out summer. And wouldn't shock me if, say, Fire Emblem ends up in August or September. Then Splatoon Raiders is the opposite month of that. And then we roll into their holiday season with what should be Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake. That would still be a pretty big release. And I mean, even if you look around some of the third parties, we just mentioned Microsoft with Blizzard, but then also Microsoft with Activision and Call of Duty, I guess, going to the Switch 2. So there's a lot happening here for Nintendo, and it just seems like, yes, we are on a crash course for some sort of event, but most likely not one until June, just based on what we've heard so far. Next up, let's talk about Grand Theft Auto 5 and that Shiny Hunters hacking group who managed to pull a bunch of data from Rockstar and Take-Two, and then tried to ransom it off to back to them, say, hey, give us money or we'll leak this information. And they said no, Rockstar and Take-Two, and so Shiny Hunters put all this information out there, and it was kind of interesting because it was some insight into analytics we hadn't seen before, specifically just how much money GTA 5 appears to make, even like Red Dead Online 2 or whatever. And so we had comparables there. It's like, yeah, guess what? GTA 5 makes a lot of money. But I did mention something. I said, it wouldn't shock me as if the stock market jumped because of this. And then here's the hacking group accidentally adding value to a company that they were trying to extract money from. Well, wouldn't you know it, we can see. This is over on Insider Gaming, who says entering trading on Tuesday, Take-Two at a market value of $38.03 billion, with stocks trading at roughly $202.26 per share. As of 11:45 a.m. Eastern, stock prices had risen 2.63%, up to 206 and then 66 cents per share. That jump added roughly $1 billion to the company's overall value. I think they were only asking like a couple $100,000 to not put that information out there. And Rockstar Take-Two said, nah, we'll call your bluff. Go ahead. Tell everyone how much money we make. They did. And then inadvertently, they gave Take-Two $1 billion. I mean, not like physically giving them $1 billion, because you're not a stock market, it's all fake money really, but their valuation went up, and it probably will continue to go up because, look, now more than ever, these analysts and people are tracking stocks and looking towards GTA 6's release at the end of this year. Now we're looking at GTA 5 and going, hold on a minute. That game made $500 million in year 12? What is GTA 6 about to do? I mean, we even saw data going back to when the pandemic had hit and people were inside, and it spiked to like $750 million for that year, which is absurd, off of just microtransactions. People are trying to put together the information now for like over-the-counter sales of the game, and then all the microtransactions and shark cards for GTA Online. They're coming up to some crazy figures of like $13 to $14 billion on GTA 5. And they certainly, Take-Two, Rockstar, we're not going into that game when it released in 2013. I assume thinking about those sorts of numbers. They figured they would make money. But like $10+ billion still rolling here as we're seeing in 2026? I don't think so. But they're looking at GTA 6 that way. I'm sure the stock market is starting to realize, ooh, this is going to be a massive moneymaker. Let's put a bunch of money in there. So I don't know, maybe Take-Two will just send them like a thank you note or something in the mail for the shiny hunters for adding what will most likely amount to billions of dollars to their company valuation before the end of the year. Next up, let's talk about Microsoft, as apparently Exclusivity could be making a return to the Green brand, and we can see this is over on Pure Xbox. Now, they transcribed this from the Xbox 2 podcast with Jez Corden, who's over at Windows Central, saying there are very, very, very big discussions about the exclusivity stuff going on right now. They do recognize the value. It's just about what kind of company you want to be at the end of the day. Do you want to be an ecosystem company first, or do you want to be a publishing company first? Now, the idea being, if you have exclusive games that are only found in your ecosystem, you should in turn pull people to your ecosystem if those offerings, those games, are compelling enough. But if you don't really care about that and you want to put games everywhere, you are then essentially a publisher, right? So I think that is a fair thing to ask Microsoft. Do they really want to make hardware, or do they just want to make games and then sell games everywhere? Because while this was happening, and I saw this popping up online through different feeds, something else popped up, and it was an account sort of going over how much money Microsoft has made from Forza Horizon 5 on the PlayStation 5. And it was north of $300 million in revenue. That port cost nowhere near that. I mean, maybe 10% of that? Nowhere near that, right? So they've obviously profited heavily off of the PlayStation 5 for Forza Horizon 5, which already did really, really well on the Xbox and PC by itself. So Forza Horizon 6, go figure, probably will make a lot of money as it is on Xbox and PC, but will make a bunch of money on PlayStation 5 and eventually 6 also. So I do wonder if this is a situation where they're going to look a bit more carefully, case-by-case basis. There are some games that are just too big to keep on one platform. Call of Duty being a big one, obviously. They're thinking about even removing it from Game Pass, apparently, at this point. And Forza, I think, being another one. But you could see some smaller games where they go, hey, you know what? This is going to just be on the Xbox. Like, one that I'm really curious about, we'll see, is something like Blade. I think people forgot about that game. It's still in development. Would something like that only just then be on Xbox and on PC? I don't think they're going to do exclusives just for console, because we believe we're going into an era for them where they will have a system that is just running almost true Windows at that point. So if you put it on Windows, you're also putting it on their box. But then that means maybe they don't want to put it on Steam, because that would then translate over to Steam OS and Linux. Is that something that they're thinking about when it comes to the platform wars, not just Sony, but also Valve and Linux. So there's a lot of questions here, and I'm curious what those discussions look like inside of Microsoft, because it's going to be very difficult to go back to exclusives for a system, their next Xbox, even the current one, that doesn't have that massive install size that they would need to hold up some of these incredibly high budgets. Sure, like Call of Duty, but even just other games, the tier or two below that, still hundreds of millions of dollars. You need a lot of people to sell to, and that's why we've seen Microsoft make the moves they have, because they got to find more people, and now they're looking to PlayStation and even Nintendo to find more. But can they turn that around and grow the Xbox brand with their console? Going to be hard to do with Xbox Helix that apparently is $1,000 plus. But we'll see what plans or strategies that Asha Sharma has when it comes to maybe other offerings, whether it's through the cloud or even just cheaper SKUs. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a movie that was announced. Got people very, very excited. Certainly came out of left field. I was not expecting this one, because the last we heard about this franchise, it was kind of caught up in between one company, Sony, and Bluepoint. That's Bloodborne. But now there's a movie happening. So we can see, this is over on Variety. They say PlayStation's Bloodborne video game is being developed into an R-rated animated feature for Sony Pictures that the studio says will embrace the carnage that made the game so popular. So the game, or the film, is co-produced by PlayStation Productions, of course, being based around the game Bloodborne. Lyrical animation, and get this one, creator and gamer Jacksepticeye. I was not expecting that. That just kind of popped up. I was like, really? Well, okay. So I saw some people recoil and they're like, oh, that's it. It's over. I hear stories about how we just went over Mass Effect, the series that's apparently ongoing. They're working to get it greenlit at Amazon, and they go, okay, now do some rewrites so it appeals to non-gamers. An animated Bloodborne with someone like Jacksepticeye involved here makes me feel like this is going to be made, for Bloodborne fans. And I mean, it goes even further here, as Jacksepticeye himself did go over on their subreddit for Bloodborne, introduce the whole project, and say, hey guys, I'm going to put everything I got into this. Okay. So I think he's serious. I think he's going to really, really go for it here with Bloodborne. I hope there's not too much, outside interference on this one. It's an animated, it's like an animated film, so if it was live action, I'd be like, whoa, wonder how that's gonna look. I think an animated film would be really cool for this, and I know people want a remake, a patch, a sequel, but this is kind of how you can get the ball rolling, because this is a way to appeal to more and more people out there who maybe have never played the game, because let's face it, it's difficult. But they might check out this animated feature film wherever it's going, maybe in theaters, maybe on, a streaming service somewhere. They might check it out and go, oh, I will see what that game is like. And maybe they get killed a lot and they give up, or maybe they see their way through it and say, you know what, I want to see more. And that's kind of how we get things moving here. And maybe then FromSoft can come around, or whatever is going on between them and Sony, whatever has them apart on being able to get Bloodborne done. Again, a remake I think would be awesome, but even just more with that franchise. Maybe this is something that can kind of break through and get them rolling along with it. But at least for now, hey, something for Bloodborne fans to look forward to. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, have you played GTA Online? 57% say no. Hey, 43% say yes. I mean, look, GTA Online's been around for so long now, more than a decade, of course. And it has changed, has multiple iterations, basically. Like, you could play the role-playing stuff on PC, or you could just play from time to time on many different generations. You could have gone back to the 360, the Xbox One, the Xbox Series, or all these different PlayStation generations. And I have checked it out from time to time, but I never really stuck with it and got into it for any long run. Like, I wasn't there like months and months of playing GTA Online, but obviously it's very, very compelling to a lot of people just based on the cash flow going through that game. So I will say I am curious to see what happens with, because all we've really talked about is just GTA 6. That's what they've shown us. The single player side, we assume. The online, I think, is going to be, I don't want to say mind-blowing, but I think they're doing a lot for the online, because they see the potential just on GTA 5 with GTA Online. I mean, I think GTA 6 is going to be something else with that. So that's something I'm really, really curious about, even though I'm sure I'll be more invested in the single player to start. I'll probably be checking out the online, just see what that's all about, and who knows, maybe it's something that I could get really into, or maybe it's something I try out, like GTA Online right now 5, and go, that was fun, and just kind of move on after a little bit. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Mike, who says, "Babe, wake up, the T-Mobile Sidekick is back." This is referring to that swivel Ambernick handheld that we went over really quickly yesterday. The Sidekick, we used to have those, because we had keyboards on our phones back then where they'd slide up, but they'd either open. I think I had the Envy. I think that's what it was. It had a screen on the outside. You flip it open like a clamshell design, and then it had a keyboard inside. You close it right back up. But I do remember when it comes to like Android phones early on, the Google was the G1, that had a crazy swivel, because it would, the whole screen, you can look it up, would just move and then up and around. But it was like a very mechanical swivel. It would like thunk into place. So those were the old days of very, I guess, yeah, mechanical feeling phones. Now it just feels like all glass, and it's like, man, this is almost like a piece of jewelry at times based on what they show off. Those were the good old days. I mean, I say that, but the phone's now significantly better, obviously. And I'm sure there are people back at that time and all that was going on, like, this is too much. I miss the brick Nokia. Because that thing, a phone, yes, also kind of a self-defense tool. Because if someone comes up and is after you and you wing a Nokia phone at them, you're probably going to come out the winning end on that one. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here on a card. Or maybe you want to hear more about how Nintendo is actually moving to introduce more cartridges for the Switch 2 generation that could work to lower the cost of physical media and maybe even work to eliminate some of those game key cards. I did a video looking into that, and I'll leave it right below. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.